Receiving calls from my old landlord, surprise. It's my terrible manager. This is going to be a long one, so here's a summary at the end. You can also decide if this belongs in the ADA category. For privacy, names have been changed. Mobile phones became common in my country around 24, just as I finished high school. My parents bought me my first phone, a second-hand Nokia. It was bulky and basic, but I promised myself that one day I would buy a new phone with my own money. When college started, I had a 2-hour daily commute. In high school, I excelled academically and won several district-level awards. During my first year of college, I received an award from a nationalized bank that finally gave me enough money for a new phone. I purchased a Sony Ericsson K300i and a premium SIM card, not realizing that the number had been abandoned by its previous owner. By the third day, I started receiving calls for a guy named Bitsah from various financial institutions. It turned out the number previously belonged to him, and for the next 20 years I would continue receiving these calls. Determined to keep my premium number, I began blocking the wrong numbers. Back then, blocking was device-specific, so each time I got a new phone, I had to start from scratch, keeping a list of numbers to block. I got my first job after graduating in 2009. Around 2010, I was assigned to a new project with a notorious reputation for burning out employees due to a terrible project manager named Bitsah. I didn't know his full name for quite a while, but he took pride in making our lives a living hell. Bitsah ruled with an iron fist. From the moment his team stepped into the office, we were met with a barrage of emails and messages, each more urgent than the last. He thrived on chaos, often changing project deadlines on a whim and demanding late-night work and weekend shifts. Bitsah's presence loomed over every task. He insisted on micromanaging every detail yet was quick to take credit for any successes, no matter how small. Failures, however, would invoke his notorious tirades, publicly berating his team and placing blame without hesitation. His unpredictable temper kept everyone on edge, afraid to make the slightest mistake. Meetings were yet another tool in his arsenal of torment. He scheduled them during lunch breaks and after hours, ensuring no one could escape his grasp. These meetings often served no purpose other than to reinforce his dominance and disrupt any semblance of work-life balance his team might have had. His relentless stream of emails continued around the clock, each carrying a thinly veiled threat of either achieving perfection or facing dismissal. Under his reign, morale plummeted and burnout soared. Yet Bitsah remained oblivious, satisfied only with his total control. I was quite ashamed when I learned he was from the same area as me and had attended the same school, though years before me. In 2012, our company merged with a parent company. While personnel changes were minimal, we finally got a mess outlook and an organizational view. That was when I first learned about Bitsah from an organizational hierarchy perspective. Discovering his full name Bitsah was an eye-opener. The name was common enough, but at the time, mobile numbers had area-specific patterns, so I already knew the previous owner of my number was from the same area as I was. Still, it could have been someone else. I wanted to dig deeper. I spoke with an old mentor who lived in the same area and had coached several high school students for the last 2 decades. He confirmed my suspicions. I won't go into details, but it was evident that Bitsah and Bitsah were the same person. I had been frustrated with this unknown person named Bitsah for almost a decade, and Bitsah had been the bane of my life and many others for quite some time. This is where my desire for revenge comes in. First, I unblocked all the numbers in my phone. I had been receiving an average of 5 to 6 calls daily, but after unblocking about 150 numbers, it shot up to 15 to 18 calls. My answering strategy changed drastically. Instead of saying wrong number, I politely explained that the owner had changed his number and provided his current one for their database. Here is where I may have crossed the line. I also volunteered his manager's number in case he tried something else. The fallout was epic. These people had been trying to find him for almost a decade. Banks had sold his debts to companies that harassed people for their money. It turned out he had been taking loans in the names of his wife, parents, uncles, and aunts, using that same number to evade credit card debt and loans totaling upwards of $200,000, a significant amount in our country. Apparently, he had nearly 20 cases filed against him, but no one could find him. It's likely why he thought he could walk on water. There are multiple versions of what happened at the office when his manager started getting calls about him. He was let go about 2 months later and I have not heard from him since. *TLDR****. The previous owner of my number had scammed several financial institutions. He later turned out to be my terrible boss. I informed the banks of his new number and his manager's number, leaving his career in ruins.